So contrast all of that with the way she talks about H and their relationship. Here is it. Is it 46 or 47, Lauren? You choose.
Into each other. And, you know, we're 13, 14-year-olds, so the history's kind of from there. It's like we talk, we find out that we're both of the same racial makeup. We just decided it was a good idea to be.
As the calendar turned to January 2026, the digital landscape was once again painted with the familiar imagery of a royal celebration. Meghan Markle, according to the official timeline, was marking her 44th year. The usual flood of social media tributes, curated birthday snapshots, and congratulatory messages from the Hollywood elite filled the feeds. However, beneath this polished veneer of celebration, a persistent and unsettling question continues to simmer, one that has plagued her public image for years. What if the candles on that cake don't match the reality of her birth? What if the age Meghan has presented to the world is not a simple fact, but a carefully maintained narrative? The controversy isn't merely a product of internet speculation or baseless rumors. It is built on a series of inconsistencies that involve her own father, childhood acquaintances, and legal documents that don't seem to align with the 1981 birth year she claims. If the whispers are true, Meghan might actually have been born in 1977, making her 48 rather than 44. While a 4-year difference might seem trivial to most, in the high-stakes worlds of Hollywood and the British royal family, those 4 years represent a tectonic shift in perception, opportunity, and fundamental trust. To understand why someone would choose to shave years off their age, one must look at the brutal reality of the industry where Meghan spent over a decade trying to find her footing. Hollywood is notoriously unforgiving toward women as they age. There is a well-documented ticking clock for actresses. Once a woman crosses the threshold of 35, the roles begin to thin, the leading lady offers dry up, and the industry often relegates them to the background. When Meghan landed her breakout role in Suits in 2011, she was officially 30 years old. In the eyes of a casting director, 30 is prime. It's the age of a seasoned professional who still possesses a youthful, fresh appeal. However, if the 1977 birth year is accurate, Meghan would have been 34 turning 35 when the show began. In the hyper-competitive landscape of television pilots, being 34 instead of 30 can be the difference between getting the lead or being told you're too old for the part. For an actress who had spent years struggling with bit parts and briefcase holding on Deal or No Deal, those 4 years could have been the vital currency she needed to buy more time for her career to finally ignite. The most compelling piece of evidence in this chronological puzzle doesn't come from a tabloid, but from the simple math of a childhood memory. Joshua Silverstein, an actor from Los Angeles and a childhood friend of Meghan's, has spoken openly about their time together as young teens. He famously recounted their first kiss at a summer camp in Santa Monica when they were both 13 years old. It's a sweet, nostalgic story of adolescent romance, but when you apply basic arithmetic, the official timeline begins to fracture. Joshua Silverstein was born in 1977. This is a matter of public record. If Joshua and Meghan were both 13 during that summer camp experience, the year would have been 1990. For Meghan to be 13 in 1990, she would have to have been born in 1977. If we were to believe the official story that she was born in 1981, she would have been only 9 years old in 1990. There is a significant developmental and social gap between a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old. It is highly unlikely that a 13-year-old boy would be sharing a first kiss and a summer camp romance with a 9-year-old child. The math is stubborn. If Joshua is telling the truth about their shared age during that summer, then the 1981 birth year is mathematically impossible. Silverstein has no apparent motive to lie. He wasn't trying to expose her, but rather just sharing a fond memory. Yet, in doing so, he may have accidentally pulled the thread that unravels the entire official history. The discrepancy continues when we look at the statements and shadows cast by her own family. Thomas Markle, a man who has been both her biggest champion and her most vocal critic, has allegedly made comments that contradict the 1981 narrative. Thomas wasn't just a bystander. He was the father who paid for the private schools, the dance lessons, and the university tuition. He was there for the birth and the childhood. While he is currently estranged from his daughter, his historical accounts of her upbringing often hint at a timeline that feels older than what is currently publicized. Then there is the matter of Samantha Markle, Meghan's half-sister. Samantha has been a constant thorn in the Duchess's side, challenging almost every aspect of Meghan's public persona. Samantha was born in 1964. The official story claims a 17-year age gap between the two sisters. However, Samantha has allegedly pointed to a 13-year age gap in various legal contexts and statements. A 13-year gap would place Meghan's birth exactly in 1977. In the heat of legal battles and depositions, Samantha has consistently maintained that Meghan's version of their family history is a constructed narrative. If a sister who grew up in the same household remembers the gap being significantly smaller, it adds another layer of credibility to the theory that the 1981 version of Meghan was a later invention. Even the legal world has not been immune to these questions. During Meghan's high-profile privacy lawsuit against the Mail on Sunday in 2021, observers noted several oddities in the documents filed with the court. When legal papers are filed, dates and timelines are scrutinized with extreme precision. It was reported that eagle-eyed social media users and legal analysts noticed discrepancies in the way ages and dates were referenced in the filings. While the court case was ostensibly about a letter to her father, the surrounding evidence regarding her biography, her collaboration with the authors of Finding Freedom, and her family history all came under the microscope. Multiple people independently noticed that the math regarding her siblings' ages and her own milestones didn't always create a seamless picture. If the documents were airtight and clearly supported the 1981 birth date, these questions would have died in the courtroom. Instead, the legal proceedings only serve to provide more fuel for those who believe the official record is a curated document rather than an absolute truth. One of the strongest arguments used to shut down this speculation is the California Birth Index, which clearly lists her birth as August 4, 1981. On the surface, this is the smoking gun that should end the debate. However, skeptics point out that official records are not as immutable as we might think. Records can be corrected, updated, or amended. In the world of high-level PR and legal representation, ensuring that public-facing documents align with a specific narrative is a known practice. Furthermore, the question isn't whether a document says 1981, but whether that document was the original, unadulterated filing from the moment of birth. When dealing with a figure who has successfully navigated her way into the highest echelons of global power and fame, the idea that a birth year could be managed is not entirely far-fetched. In Hollywood, this is often referred to as shaving years, and it is frequently done with the assistance of agents and managers before an actor becomes a household name. By the time the world knows who you are, the new age is already the official age. This leads us to the most delicate aspect of the controversy: Prince Harry. When the couple met in 2016, Meghan was reportedly 35 and Harry was 32. A 3-year age gap is common and largely unremarkable. However, if Meghan was born in 1977, she would have been 39 when they met, nearly 40. This changes the dynamic of their early relationship significantly. It raises the question of whether Harry himself is aware of the discrepancy. If Harry believes she was born in 1981 and the reality is 1977, the issue isn't the age itself. Plenty of men marry women who are 7 years older, but the deception. A marriage built on a foundation of altered facts is a marriage with a structural flaw. If she lied to the world to save her career, that's one thing. But if she maintained that lie to her husband and his family, it points to a level of commitment to a narrative that is almost pathological. If the truth were ever to be definitively proven, the fallout wouldn't be about the number 48. It would be about the breach of trust that defined their entire union. Why does the public care so much? It's not about age shaming or a fixated obsession with a birthday. It's about the pattern of credibility. The age mystery is just one tile in a much larger mosaic of alleged mistruths. From the claims about her secret wedding 3 days before the televised spectacle, to the shifting stories about her relationship with her father, to the denials of involvement with her own biography, There is a perceived habit of Meghan Markle adjusting reality to suit her current needs. When an individual is caught in small inconsistencies, the public naturally begins to look for larger ones.